Number 5. Tuukka Rask and Shawn Thornton. One word that easily sums up this bromance between the goalie and the team's tough guy is unlikely. The bond between the two formed as they spent several seasons together in Boston. Thornton was in his third term with the club when the young Rask came into the league during the 2009-10 season. From there, the bromance became so high-key that the teammates eventually became next-door neighbors while living side by side. And if living on the same street doesn't scream best friends enough, the duo even bought a boat together. While this friendship may seem out of left field, the two did have one thing in common. They both, kinda lost it a few times on ice, like really lost it. Therefore, maybe it's safe to say the term opposites attract didn't completely apply in this case. Regardless, as we all know, the Bruins opted not to re-sign the veteran, while he opted for the Sunshine State instead. Even still, the forward was quick to defend the goaltender after Rask faced a lot of criticism due to his performance in the playoffs last year, and even called him a good friend. Number 4. Evgeni Malkin and Sergei Gonchar. So let's be real here. Leaving your country and moving across the world is scary enough, but when you can't speak the language of your peers, well, let's just say it wouldn't be fun. But for Gino, the transition was a lot smoother as fellow Russian Sergei Gonchar generously took the young forward in, and even taught him some English while taking turns with his daughter Natalie, who was learning the language in school as well. I remember myself what it was like when I got into the NHL, not knowing anybody, not speaking English, the new lifestyle, and even different hockey. I remember how tough it was for me. That's why I decided to help him. It was easy for me. I never had second thoughts about it. He's a good housemate and a good friend, Gonchar says. The two would go on to win a Stanley Cup together in 2009, before the defenseman signed with the Ottawa Senators. But his kindness and generosity were never forgotten, as Malkin made it a point to thank his good friend during his acceptance speech in 2012, after receiving the Hart Trophy. "He took care of me," Malkin says. "He's a great guy and an unbelievable player. He's my best friend here." Number 3. Alex Wennberg and William Karlsson. Yet another bromance previously formed of the same nationality, the two Swedes first met while still in juniors, as they both suited up for Team Sweden while playing in the 2013 World Junior Championships. And similarly to the Crosby-McKinnon bond, minus the larger age gap, Wennberg rose through the hockey ranks while idling the older Karlsson. "During my whole career growing up, I followed his path," Wennberg says. "We went through the same league. He played in the second division. I've always been a year away from him, so I've always been comparing myself to him." And as fate would have it, the pair were reunited in Columbus after Karlsson was traded from the Ducks in 2015, and Wennberg drafted by the Jackets 2 years prior. Once the elder Swede made it to Ohio's capital, he even had a tour guide waiting for him. That was none other than Wennberg himself. Karlsson even admitted to being in the passenger seat while allowing his fellow countrymen to be like his quote-unquote Uber driver. Besides showing his new teammate the city while transporting him, Wennberg even taught his former role model how to play guitar. "He's been my teacher," Karlsson says, "and pretty patient. He's really good, and I'm like semi-good." And as heartwarming as the mutual bond was, it was eventually broken up, as Karlsson was taken in the 2017 NHL expansion draft by the Vegas Golden Knights. And even though they are now playing for separate teams, they still find time to catch up. Number 2. Mike Richards and Jeff Carter. One bromance that definitely compared more to a Nicholas Sparks story than anything was that of Jeff Carter and Mike Richards. And like many bromances throughout the league, these two actually knew of each other prior to playing in the NHL, as they both played in the OHL before being drafted and, as fate would have it, began their careers in the same year for the same team, in Philadelphia. From there, the two would become bros for life while spending several seasons together, living together, and shouldering the adversity of losing in the 2010 Stanley Cup Finals. The pair even signed lucrative deals simultaneously while both expressing their desires to stay together in Philly. But as we all know, their bromance was put on the back burner as Carter was traded to Columbus in the summer of 2011. And luckily for him, things didn't work out as a Jacket, as he was traded yet again, but this time to the Los Angeles Kings. For Richards, this was the best news he could have heard, as the forward immediately took to Twitter while expressing his excitement for his best friend's arrival. And just like the movies, there was even a happy ending as the pair finally was able to win Lord Stanley's Cup, side by side in June of 2012. Richards was eventually sent down to the minors after a couple mediocre seasons, but even still, I think the good has outweighed the bad while considering this story. Number 1. Alex Ovechkin and Alex Semin. Former roommates and teammates, this dynamic duo seemed inseparable. And ironically, before they were playing for the same team, they actually were on opposing sides. Prior to officially starting their NHL careers, the forwards' paths actually crossed more than once, as they both played in the Russian Super League at the same time during the 2002-2003 season, and also in the 2004 World Juniors for Team Russia. After meeting each other in passing on the other side of the world, the pair would go on to spend several seasons playing together, forming chemistry and an unbreakable bond. The Alexes were even roommates, which gave Ovechkin even more time to help his friend learn English, as he for a time was even a makeshift translator in interviews while assisting Semin on and off the ice. "It's fun for me to be around him," Ovechkin says, "'cause he's Russian, he understands Russian jokes, and me and him help each other." Following the 2012-2013 NHL lockout, Semin signed with the Carolina Hurricanes, after Capitals GM at the time, George McPhee, wasn't offering any extensions. Even still, the two remained in contact and even reportedly went to dinner when their teams faced each other. And in the summer of 2017, while amongst current teammates at his wedding, Ovechkin also had a former one present, and longtime friend, Semin.